Okay, welcome folks to another episode of the Bishy podcast. While we left last week with David Marshall, the Euro 2020 hero, and this week we just get bigger and bigger. A bit of a mouthful, but we're joined by the unified WBA, IBF, Ring Magazine Super Lightweight Champion of the World, Commonwealth Champ and all that. He's got loads of medals, loads of trophies. Big, massive Scottish boxer, Josh Taylor. Josh, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope I've nailed that in a winner.
Good, lads. And you done it. You done well. You nailed it there. It's a bit of a mouthful, so you nailed it. Well done. But yeah, I'm good. How's yourself?
Aye, superb, mate. Delighted to eventually get you on after a bit of perseverance, a bit of pestering. So thank you so much.
Yeah, a bit back and forth on it. We kept missing each other and stuff like that. So, but now we've got here and end. That's the most important thing.
But here, that's it. Mr. Johnson is also with us. Mr. Johnson, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, another fantastic guest here we've got, and I know you'll be buzzing about this one.
Yeah. You know, I like my boxing, so I'm buzzing for this one. It's a good one.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to start us off, Josh. We'd like to get a kind of insight into your early career and particularly your time at school. So how did you find your school career? And did you stay on to 5th and 6th year? Kind of what was it like?
I left. I was a Christmas leaver, so I left at Christmas after my 4th year. I liked school, to be fair. I really liked school. I went to all the classes. You know, I really enjoyed PE, geography, woodwork, and I enjoyed music and that as well. But to me, I wish I'd stuck in a wee bit more at school now. But you know, to me, school was like the best days of my life. I was always with my pals every day and things like that. You know, so I really enjoyed school. You know, I wasn't much for. I mean, I went to the classes, but I didn't really stick in. You know, I could have done a lot better, but it was good. I enjoyed school. You know, so I had a good time at school.
Were you still making the key rings? Were you still making the key rings and the mirrors and stuff like that in woodwork?
Was that, sorry?
Were you still making the key rings and the mirrors and woodwork?
I made a wee breakfast tray and things like that. So I've still got it to this day, actually.
Was it the practical subjects you preferred then, Josh? I think you said a lot of PE, music, woodwork.
Aye, well, I kind of liked like the architect stuff, like Graphcom. I ended up choosing graphics and communications as opposed to the woodwork,
Right.
which I kind of regret. You know, I should have done woodwork because I never really stuck in at the Graphcom. After I chose it in a few classes, I was like, so I just stopped going to it. I should have chose woodwork, but that's one that I should have done.
What would your teacher's perception of you be, Josh? What do you think they would say about you?
I'm not sure. I mean, I went to all the classes. I stuck in. Well, I went in, I did what I was told and things like that, and I never really caused any bother. But you know, I could have probably concentrated a wee bit more. I did my work, but I never really concentrated, and sort of was having a laugh all the time as well. You know, I was always having a laugh, but I could have probably concentrated a wee bit better, and I could have got more out of the results and the classes if I'd just stuck in a wee bit more. I done well in school, but I could have, if I'd stuck in and concentrated a wee bit better, I could have done a lot better.
Yeah. See, growing up, did you have any kind of role models or inspirational figures that kind of motivated you?
In what way? Like, sorry, just in life or just?
Yeah.
Well, I had my big sort of cousins and stuff were pretty important in my life, you know, and stuff like that, you know. But I always went to school and I had good discipline as well. I had taught good discipline as a kid, so I always went to school and I enjoyed school anyway. I enjoyed going with my mates and seeing my pals every day and having a laugh, and so I went to school near enough every day. You know, a couple of times obviously bunked off and whatever, but I was quite good at school. I quite enjoyed it because I was with my pals every day having a laugh, so it was good.
Perfect.
Did you have any part-time jobs growing up, Josh? When you were at school, maybe?
I did. I had a few. Obviously, I left. Obviously, I was right into sports. I was always very sporty. I loved PE and stuff. So I left school and fifth year Christmas leaver, so I left at Christmas time in fifth year, and I went straight to college to do like sports and actually no, I did mechanics first. Did mechanics. I was wanting to be a mechanic, but I went to college and I was back in a classroom and changing tires and doing things that I already knew how to do. So I lost interest in that and I stopped going to college. I then got I was working with my uncle in his garage doing that part time as well, along with the boxing and stuff. But then I stopped that as well because I was going away to boxing all the time and boxing tournaments and things like that. So I kind of fell behind and I lost interest in the mechanics because I was doing stuff that I already knew how to do.
Yeah.
So I lost interest in that, and I'm more into motorbikes than I am cars. So I would much rather working on motorbikes than cars and stuff. So I left that, and then I got a job doing sort of lifeguarding, in sports centres. So doing like sort of lifeguards and that sort of kind of stuff. And sports and working in sports centres for a few years as well. Got paid off a couple of times with a couple of different jobs and stuff because I wasn't able to go, and then obviously boxing was starting to take over then as well. So yeah, and then I went back to college again after that to do sport and fitness and become like a sort of a personal trainer or sports development officer or something like that. But then again, boxing eventually took over again, and I decided to just go with boxing.
I used to be a lifeguard as well, Josh, right? And you'll probably agree with me. See, most of the time, 95% of the time, it's the most boring job in the world, isn't it? Just sitting there.
It is. But it was an easy number. I used to do my stunt in the pool, and then you go around the building, and I'd go away for half an hour, go away down the street, and go and get my lunch and walk about, and then come back, and I was getting paid for just walking about.
Did you ever have to win?
Then you need to go and set up gymnastic class or this or that, set up things, and it was easy. It was easy, but yeah, it was very boring.
You boys have got it too easy, by the way. You boys have got it far too easy. I was in a fishmonger. I was selling fish when I was growing up. You boys had it far too easy.
Yeah, I did a couple of shifts on the chickens and the tatties and that as well when I was younger. But I done that. I think I done that once, and it was 12-hour shift on the chickens and the tatties, and I think I came away with like 30 quid or something. And I says, "Oh, I'm not doing that again." So I never went back.
So, could you tell us a wee bit about your journey into boxing and how did that all come about then for the start?
Well, I've always been sort of into watching boxing. I used to watch boxing, and obviously at the time the local sort of champion was Alex Arthur. And I used to train at my mum's work in Meadowbank Sports Centre. And I used to go up there and maybe the summer holidays and do the sports things and stuff when I was a younger kid. If I never had anywhere to go, I'd go up and see my mum and stuff like that. So then I would join in. She said that Alex Arthur was training in the gym, and I asked her if I could go down and watch him, and he agreed to it. And then I eventually started training with Alex Arthur and training with him, and then that's how I kind of got into it. That's how I kind of got into boxing. Yeah.
What age were you then, Josh?
I was about 14 or 15. 14, 15 years old. So it was quite sort of late to get into boxing. Yeah, it was about 14 or 15 when I left.
When I started. You did have a background though. Was it Taekwondo, Judo?
Taekwondo, yeah. I was a black belt in Taekwondo, yeah. So I was always sort of liked sort of the combat kind of side of things, but I was always finding myself in fights and that anyway. I was very partial to a fight when I was growing up in school because I was so small. I was tiny, and I had that big scar on my face. It's not much now, but when I was younger, it was from here right round to there, and I used to get sort of folk used to try and pick on me for the scar, and because I was small, and I used to find myself in a lot of fights when I was growing up.
And did you I take it you just found the kind of the Taekwondo and the boxing that a way of channeling that kind of anger that was built up?
I started Taekwondo when I was 5, so I've always had that sort of discipline and stuff. I was never in in fights and stuff, I just used to always stick up for myself.
Yeah.
Because they used to see him be a target, a young kid, a small lad with a big scar on his face, and they used to see it as a target, and it turned out to be the hardest target they ever tried. So I used to feel quite insecure about that, because I was really small, and the scar was from there right around to there, and it was quite prominent in my face, and I used to get people, maybe try to make fun of me in front of people, in front of friends, in front of girls, and things like that, and I used to get insecure, and then obviously I used to lash out from it.
Yeah. See, having the background, Josh, in both, I always think this with folk that do like mixed martial arts and stuff. So even, is there ever been a time where you've been in training or in a fight and somebody's hit you and you almost throw a kick up? I just think
yeah, a couple of times when I sort of first started boxing for the first 6-7 months, it was quite hard for me to stop lifting my legs to kick people. I think the first 1 or 2 sparring sessions I ever did in boxing, when folk coming to attack me, I actually lifted my leg and kicked them in the head a couple of times. And the coaches just about had a bloody heart attack. So, but it took a couple of sessions for me to get used to not lifting my legs. But once I got used to it, it was easy.
Brilliant.
What's your professional career been like? The journey itself?
Oh, it's been it's just rocketed up. It's just been. I started doing 6-rounders after the Commonwealth Games. I won the gold medal at Commonwealth Games, and I started, and it's just fight after fight, building up, progression, and it's just been a really steep incline to where I am just now. So yeah, it's been awesome. It's been brilliant. The fights and the performances I've had, and it's just been awesome. I didn't think for 1 minute I would be world champion as quick as what I did do, and be fighting for a fight like this coming up at this magnitude so early in my career. So yeah, it's going really well at the minute. There's actually no complaints. I couldn't have planned it better myself if I'd planned it. So it's worked out. It's worked out really good. I'm really happy where I'm at the minute.
Superb. See, throughout your career, you've obviously been in amateur fights and in professional fights. Has there been any boxers that you've come up against and you think that was tough? That was a tough gig.
Yeah, I've had a few hard fights. One of my hardest fights, I can always remember it, was when I was an amateur, and it was a Scotland versus France match. But what we did was we had a week in Largs in the training facility down there, with Scotland and France, like a joint training camp, and sparring and running together and all that kind of stuff, and like a joint training camp. And I was always sparring this French kid, and I was beating lumps out of him. I was beating him so easily, and and like I thought this will be easy. These French lads will be easy. And then come Friday night, I ended up boxing another French kid, and it turned out to be the hardest fight I ever had in my life. He just kept coming and coming and coming, and I was throwing the kitchen sink at him, and he just kept coming and coming, and I was so tired. And then like the last 10 seconds, I hit him by a good shot and sort of wobbled him, and then the bell rang. I won the fight, but I can remember just thinking the guy was so strong, and he was hitting me with everything, and it was just like a war of attrition. I would never ever forget that. That was the first real fight that I had when I thought, oh, that was quite tough, and had to dig in deep and found out what I'm like mentality wise and personally wise, and found out what I'm like, answered questions about myself personally. So yeah, it was very good. I'll always remember that fight for one, but I have had loads of tough fights. I've had my nose cracked. I've had my nose broken 3 times in boxing, 4 times in total, but 3 times in boxing. And it's a couple of times it's been in fights. And the last time I got it broken was I had it cracked in my last sparring session before the Hara Davis fight, which was only 10 days before the fight. Wow. I also popped my shoulder as well about 2 weeks before that fight as well. So I went into that fight injured. I had a cracked nose and a bad shoulder, but it proved to be quite an easy fight and quite an enjoyable fight.
That French story sounds very familiar to Friday night's victory in Paris with the old rugby team, I think. The dying settings pulling it off.
Yeah, I know. That's what it was like. It was the last dying seconds. They got the winning blow in the end, and it was a good result, wasn't it? It was a great result.
Quality. Mr. Johnson, back to you.
You'd spoken about some of the titles you've won there, Josh, but what would you say has been your highlight of your career so far?
I'd say the highlight of my career is definitely up there, and it's going to be tough to beat, is winning the gold medal in Glasgow.
Yeah.
In the Commonwealth Games. Not only for myself was it very proud, but representing your country, and I had the hopes of a nation to win that gold medal and to pull it off and stand on the top of the podium and sing the Flower of Scotland and in Glasgow in front of my home friends and family. It was just it was really, really a proud moment for me. That one will take a lot to beat. That moment.
Brilliant. I was there. I was one of the flag bearers. See when they walked out.
Oh, yeah,
not for any of your fights. It was just random. They gave it out. So I'd been given one of the English fighters. So I walked out with his flag. But just the atmosphere and the crowd was unbelievable. It was brilliant.
It was amazing. That whole experience, just being in like the Games Village and things like that, all the volunteers, meeting all the different people from different countries, and I speak to them today. I still talk to them today, and still got good friends from people that I've met through the Commonwealth Games and stuff. So it is really good, and that will for sure be a hard one to beat.
Absolutely. So we've spoken about some highlights. Then, is there any kind of low points that stick out in your career? Any kind of setbacks or anything that you think you've learned from?
Yeah, I've had loads of setbacks, and tough points when we touched on there about my jobs and stuff. So there was times when I never had a tenner in my pocket, and struggling to get to the gym, struggling to do this, struggling to do that. All my friends are going on holiday, buying new cars, doing this, doing that, and I'm not got 10 pence to rub together. And you're kind of thinking, why am I doing this? And why am I doing it to myself? And you're 18, 19 years old, and you're asking your mum and dad for a lot of money to go up to the gym or go and do this and things like that. It was really, really tough, and getting paid off from jobs, and still trying to box, trying to do what I love, trying to chase my dream. Trying to chase my dream, but no really getting anywhere. Feeling like I'm not getting anywhere, and feel like I'm falling behind everybody. All my mates falling behind them all. Can't go out because I've not got any money to go out. Can't go on holiday with them because I can't afford to go on holiday. Plus I've got training camps coming up, so you can't go anyway, and this and that. So you feel like you're sacrificing a lot, and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. But I just kept going. I kept the faith in my dream, and kept dedicating myself, because you see all these people, and I even learnt about it. This about in PE, like that it takes 10,000 hours of practice and all that to get to the top on average. So that's like on average 10 years for these people to the champions that you look up to, like say your Lewis Hamiltons or your Usain Bolts or your Cristiano Ronaldos, and it's they all do the same thing, which is hard work, dedication, and practice and consistency, which is the key thing. Is nothing worth having or success that never comes overnight. It's through hard work, perseverance, and consistency. So I kept that in mind, at the back of my mind, and just kept going and kept the faith as to what I wanted to be, which was become world champion. And I just kept doing it and going, and eventually things started paying off. I come back from the Commonwealth Games in 2010, got a silver medal. I then got a trial in the GB squad, which then obviously I passed, and I got on. So then I got onto UK lottery funding. So then I was starting to get paid for what I was doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't an awful lot of money. It still wasn't great money, but it was enough to get me by. It was enough to get me up and down to Sheffield for one, and a tiny little bit of pocket money at the end of the month. So I've still then that took the burden off of asking money from my mum and dad and things like that. And when I was able to then start saving money on myself for myself, then I started having success, going to other tournaments and picking up medals and this and that. And then I went to the Commonwealth Games and won the gold, and then turned professional. And then that's when things started paying off for me and things started happening for me. And you know, it's been years. It's been 14, 15 years of hard work, sacrificing, and you know, probably about 10 years of it, not really earning a penny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was hard work. You know, it was hard work, and at times when you're a young lad, 17, 18, 19, you know, your pals they're going out, they're having a good time, they're meeting girls, they're going on holiday, they're going to concerts, they're going to doing this and doing that, and you can't do it, and you can't go. You want to go, but you can't.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard work. It's hard pill to swallow, and it could have been real easy for me to go, oh, I'm not doing this anymore, and go and get in a job. You know, but then now I'd be sitting here going, regretting it, saying I should have done it, I should have tried it. I could have been that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I could have been a champion. You know, and there's so many of my friends that I've got that, and people you see when you go back down in my hometown that had great potential and great football players and great this, and they're all saying I could have done this and I could have done that. Yeah. I know a lot of people, you know, that are very talented football players and talented other things, and never stuck it, and they kind of regret it a little bit. They could have, would have, should have. So now I know that if I had never become world champion, I could always say with a full heart that I gave it my best shot.
Mm-hmm.
I tried my hardest. I gave it my best shot. It didn't work out. So then I've got no regrets, you know. But then I would have went and got a job and done something and done something else, started something new.
Mm-hmm. You know, we've done that. We're on episode 39, and just what you've mentioned in the past few minutes, it's such an incredible message for not just only your pupils, but just people in general. Like, don't look back and say, "Oh, I wish I'd done that." Like, it should be no regrets. Go with what you want to do.
Yeah, that's it. I've always believed in that, and you know, my dad always kind of said that to me as well. Like, it wasn't even like I never really wanted to be a world champion boxer when I started.
Yeah.
When I started, I wasn't even wanting to be a boxer. It was just to go and keep fit, because I was used to being active and going to taekwondo and going to football and going to this and doing what. I was always very sporty and always kept myself fit. So it was just an avenue for me to look at keeping myself fit, and I found that I was quite good at it, and I kept going and still never really took it seriously, as like a potential career sort of path. It was just to keep fit, and you know, I was doing fights because I enjoyed it. But my dad always did say, if you're going to do something, do it right.
Yes.
Don't do something half-hearted. So I thought, okay, well, that's fine. If you're going to do something and you're doing it half-hearted, you're not going to get the results you're after. You're not going to do this. You're going to stop anyway. The least you can do, if you go and do it with your best ability. If it doesn't work out, then, well, okay, then go try something else. Go do something else. So I kind of had that drummed into me, and also the will and determination to keep going. You know, so it's a mixture of both things. You know.
Josh, just something that came into my head there, like, what would you say is your motivation at this moment in time? Is it a financial thing? Is it the passion for the sport? Is it to make your family and where you come from proud of you? What's your motivation? What gets you up in the morning?
I've never really been money motivated. Obviously, a big goal was obviously to become world champion and look after my family and make sure I'm obviously financially secure and things like that. But I've never been in it for money. It's usually been for to be world champion, to see how good I can become, and to be the best that I can be, and challenge myself against the best to see how far I can go. Mm-hmm. And you know, the sort of challenge putting myself against another man, challenging myself, and he's sort of trying to get the best of me and outthinking, not just outfighting, but outthinking that opponent, and you know, outmaneuvering him and his tactics. It's very addictive. It's like it's like a physical game of chess. You know, you're thinking 2-3 steps ahead instead of just the punches that are coming at you. It's very addictive. It's very addictive, and also the will to win and the determination and the competitiveness. You know, you've got to have all that as attributes as well. But I'd say main motivation for me is just to be world champion and keep being the best it can be, and to keep fighting and keep winning. Just to keep winning. I just want to keep winning. And as soon as I start feeling like I'm not doing it anymore, and I'm not, you know, getting the best of myself, that's when I'll hang up the gloves. But you know, that's a long time away.
I mean, just moving on to the kind of training. Obviously, I follow you on Twitter and Instagram, and you've been quite prominent with the training that you're doing at this moment in time. What's a kind of typical sort of training session or a regime that you would follow, and how often do you get to train?
It's quite flat out at the minute.
Yeah.
I'm training twice a day at the minute. At the minute it's 5 days a week, but on a Saturday I'll usually go a recovery run, a nice long, slow run. But at the minute it's 5 days a week, because by the time Friday comes, I'm pretty knackered. I'm pretty burnt out. Mm-hmm. So it's usually twice a day. Obviously, one of the sessions a day is boxing. So it'll either be boxing or, you know, pad work or bag work or sparring. Yeah. One session. The next session I'll do strength training twice a week, and then I'll do a conditioning circuit once a week, lifting weights and stuff like that as well. And I do runs 3 times a week as well, sprint work, and you know, and it is really, really hard, and it's flat going. It's out going. It's flat out.
Right. See, just in that, like switching off. Like, do you get to switch off? What do you do for your downtime?
Well, not much at the minute, except for sitting in a house and walking around, and it's boring. It's tough at the minute. You know, I'm down here in London at the minute, so I don't know anybody down here. So you literally are here kind of on your own, except for the other lads are maybe in the house. But the lads at the house at the weekend go home because they only stay maybe an hour or so away. Right. So you're by yourself at the weekend. So there's only so much kind of walking about and talking to yourself you can do. So it's trying to find things to keep yourself occupied. So just like start reading and stuff again, and starting to do a little bit of drawing and things like that. And just it's pretty hard, you know. But you know, everybody's in the same boat at the minute. Nobody's doing nothing. You guys, I can see, are sat back home, and so it's everybody's in the same boat. You just got to get on with it. Just getting on with it, digging on.
What about normally though? Like, wait, I know you like your motorbikes. Is that something that you do in your downtime? Anything else you do in your downtime?
Aye, well, usually, you know, I'll go back home at the weekends. The only reason I'm not home at these last few weekends, or since January, really, is because the flights are so few and far between. Yeah, okay. And the nearest airport for me is Stansted, which is only 20 minutes, but there's no flights there at the minute. Right. They have to go way over to Heathrow, which can take an hour and a half to get there. So it's just not worth going home for a day, you know. So I've been down here, but usually this time of year I'll go home at the weekends. The motorbike seasons have kind of started back up, the road racing and stuff like that. So I'll go up to Knockhill, go watch my friends racing. My dad's into bikes as well, so we'll go over there and just watch the racing and get involved in it, and maybe even go out on our bikes and stuff as well. So yeah, keep myself occupied that way.
What's your management like about that, Josh? I can just imagine there's anytime you mention a bike, they must be sweating.
Yeah, they're kind of watch what you're doing. That. But yeah, I'm pretty sensible. You know, I don't go out on it when I've got fights and that coming up. And you know, if I do go out on it when I'm in between fights, I'll go out with a couple of my friends and just go runs, like sort of not go too daft on it. You know, because I know what I've got at stake and I know what I've got to lose. So I just go out and enjoy it rather than go out and go mental. Unless I go on a track day, that's when I'll try and go fast.
Can I just ask the last question about your training there, Josh? How often are you sparring per week?
At the minute, it's twice a week.
Right, twice.
But the next couple of weeks, it'll be 3 times a week. It'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then the other 2 days are sort of like pad and technical sessions. Right. So I'll do, by the time the fight comes, I'll have done close to 400 or 500 rounds, 400 rounds sparring. maybe not as much as that. That's a lot. Maybe about 300 rounds sparring. I'd probably do 300-400 rounds. Yeah. So that way I'm nice and sharp, and I'm thinking, and the mind sharp. I'm combat ready.
Yeah.
And is that kind of tend to be the same sparring partners that you have?
It sort of varies from fight to fight. Obviously the guy, every fight that I've got every opponent that I've had's had a different kind of style. So you try and find people that are kind of fighting that kind of way, that style that your opponent fights. So, but I do use regulars. I do use regulars, but we try and vary it up so you don't get used to the same person all the time.
Josh, you mentioned there about kind of being mentally ready. Is there any mental preparation that you perhaps do in your lead up to your training, night before, in the changing room? Anything that you do mentally to get you prepared?
I'm getting mentally ready now. I've been the first thing is visualization. I've visualized winning this fight a million times over in my head. Mm-hmm. How I'm going to win it, the way I visualize it is for me, get my hand raised, and get my hand raised, and the new world champion or undisputed world champion, and get my hand raised. The second way I vision it is from being in the crowd, and the crowd, the atmosphere and the noise. And the third way I envision it is just like from like a telly kind of perspective. I visualize all these kind of ways, and different ways in me winning the fight as well. I also envision the negative side of things, and we maybe losing, which keeps the fear and the hunger and the butterflies and the nerves, because you need that to keep yourself sharp. So I do a lot of visualization and mental preparedness. Prepared for a hard 12-round fight. I know it's going to be a very tough fight at times, so I'm mentally preparing for that now.
It's funny you say that, because Scott will tell you here, we use a video in our higher classes, and it's Michael Phelps, and he does exactly the same, visualises it from his own point of view, from the side of the pool, from the stands, and it is positive and negative outcomes, like you say, if his goggles ripped, his suit ripped. So it's great hearing kind of similar stories.
Yeah, and visual, like myself as well. Sometimes you visualize like the negative kind of things, like if I'm put down, if I'm put on my backside, mm-hmm. You visualize how you're going to be if that happens. You be prepared mm-hmm. for being on your backside, for one. Be prepared for being on your back. Be prepared to be hurt, mm-hmm. to be ready to dig in and dig deep. So you're getting yourself ready that if that does happen, you're mentally ready for it. Yeah. And it's not a shock, Yeah.
You're quite big. I read, I kind of heard that you're quite big in writing stuff down.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I didn't know what I was actually doing. It's actually called the law of attraction. I didn't know that's what I was actually doing until a couple of years ago, when somebody told me about it. Everywhere I go, I was writing Josh Taylor, future world champion, and Josh Taylor, future world champion, Josh Taylor this, Josh Taylor, like world champion. Everywhere I went, Josh Taylor, world champion. I just knew that all I was doing was drumming it into my own head to make myself believe it, and because I wasn't the most sort of self, like I wouldn't really believe in myself, like, for example, I wouldn't back myself or believe myself that I can do that. Mm-hmm. I would have to really. There was always other people. You can do that. You're so talented and stuff. I'll go. Oh, I don't know. When I was a younger kid, but my mentality was, as soon as I was in the ring, there was no beating me. There was absolutely no beating me. That you'd have to nail me to the canvas to stop me from winning, to give up. That was my mentality, but it was the mentality before that, which is the self-belief, which was what I was working on. And now I fully back myself, because I've trained myself to believe in myself and make myself believe it.
I hope it was bits of paper you're writing on, and it wasn't the walls and streets of Preston Pans.
Oh, everywhere. I'll write it anywhere.
But I mean, Mr. Johnson, back to you.
So I think you touched on this, Josh, but your next fight against Jose Ramirez in Las Vegas, how's your preparation going for that then?
It's going well. I'm getting a carry out every night. I'm drinking a lot of beer. I'm drinking a lot of Corona and tequilas and stuff. So yeah, I'm getting ready for the Mexican fight, and we're just taking it easy. Yeah,
got my sombreros.
I've got to get a few sombreros for going over to Mexico and Las Vegas. So yeah, I'm going well. I've been in camp for about 8 weeks already. So yeah, I'm flat out at the minute.
So are you just ready basically just to get in the ring at this stage then? You feel like you're just
I'm ready to go.
Training,
We've got 8 weeks to go now. So it's still quite a long time. So yeah. It's just preparing my mind and my sharpness. I'm just chipping away nice and slow and building it up slowly, rather than maybe starting now and you spend 3-4 weeks building your engine and getting fit and getting strong, and you're killing yourself, So I'm already fit, so it's just a matter of working on my tactics, my technique, and obviously still training up and building it up, but it doesn't feel as much as a struggle as it would be if I was starting now.
Yeah. And how do you visualize the fight going? Are you visualizing a long haul or a short night?
I'm preparing for a 12-round war fight, because the way he fights is he's in your face from the opening bell. So I'm preparing for a hard fight, but I do think I can knock him out, and I believe that I will. But obviously that remains to be seen. We just need to wait and see until the May 22nd.
So you smash him, and then it's Edinburgh Castle next.
Hopefully, or that, or Easter Road. I'd love to fight in my home city for once, in front of my home friends and family, and bring a big night to my home. You know what I mean? But if that doesn't happen, I'm always more than happy to go back to the Hydro and success there. So I love the Hydro. I love the Hydro too, but I would really love to fight up at that castle. I just think it would be spectacular, wouldn't it? It would be an event for sure. That or Easter Road, Easter Road as well would be amazing, So it's just a real pity that Edinburgh's not got any arenas.
Regardless, we'll be there, Mr. Johnson. We'll be there.
Yeah. Just before you go into the finisher, Mr. McHugh, I've just got a question about your nickname, the Tartan Tornado. Who came up with that name?
It was quite good. What it was is when I first turned pro in sparring, I was sparring with quite a lot of high level and experienced and seasoned pros, and I was blowing them away in sparring. That's what they said, you're just blowing everybody away in sparring. So we'll call you the Tornado because you're blowing everybody away. And I was like, oh, that's quite good. She said, but I want something Scottish in there. I want something, I've got to put the Tartan Warrior or something like that. But that's crap. But I says, I want something Scottish in there. And I says, what about the Tartan Tornado? I says, oh, that's quite good. So yeah, done that. And obviously I wear my family tartan shorts and things like that. So it's good. It was either that or the Tartan Spartan.
No, the Tartan Tornado much better.
So it sounds like I sound like a darts player, don't I? The Tartan Tornado. I sound like a darts player.
Brilliant. Josh, after I get the last question, it's a thinker for you. So if you would have a billboard with a particular quote or message on it, what would it read?
A particular quote? Well, I don't know.
I don't
know. I'm not sure at all. That is a hard one, aye. I don't know. I'd need to think about that one. Because it would need to be funny, but appropriate funny as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you couldn't be saying stuff like, or kind of funny sayings go. So it need to be clean but funny. So I don't know. I might have to wait on that and get back to you on that one.
Right.
I'll
You
create
need
a
to get
picture for
back
you.
when we put this episode out, you need to get back to us with your quote or your message on Twitter.
Aye, I'll try and get it done. Aye. No, but no, I can't even think. My mind. I don't know. Not got a clue.
We'll leave it with you. Josh, I'm kind of all questioned out. Scott, I don't know if you've got any more questions.
No, that was brilliant. Thank you again, Josh.
Honestly, Josh, we really do appreciate you taking time out. Certainly well worth the wait. And we really do thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And we wish you all the very best on May 22nd. And thank you so much again.
Aye, no problem. Thanks for having me. It was good to get on it as well. Just been sorry it took so long. It's just been, but we got there in the end. And thanks very much. And I'll get the belts for you, and we'll have the King of Scotland, all the belts back in Scotland for the first time in history. So hopefully I don't disappoint you. So I'll leave you with a promise there. I hope I don't disappoint you.
Superb. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, lads.
Take care.
Thanks very much.
See you later. Bye bye.
Cheers, boys. Cheers, lads. Cheers.
Bye bye.